Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now this is another video in the vintage and classic cameras from the past, and this particular camera dates back to around about 1934, so it's well and truly a vintage camera. Now for those that think that reflex cameras only came out in SLRs, where you view the scene on a mirror that goes up to your viewfinder, well, you are wrong, because reflex cameras have been out a long time. And this camera, made by Thornton Pickard in Altrincham, a British company, made reflex cameras for many years, and this is one of them. Now I've been after one of these cameras for a long time to see if I could get one in good working condition, but unfortunately everyone that I buy is beyond my skills to get them going again. A kind subscriber to the channel sent me this camera. This is the Ruby Reflex camera, and unfortunately there were so many things wrong with this camera that I couldn't get it going, so I turned it into a pinhole camera. And if you're a subscriber, you will have seen that video. If you haven't, I'll leave a link in the description. Now this camera's got a few things that need sorting on it, but hopefully, and fingers crossed, I can get it going because it's in beautiful condition. And as I said, you'll see me now through the reflex view of this camera, built in 1934. It's got a very special viewing screen, focusing screen, that's called a Stevens screen, and that's why it's so bright and you can see me so clearly. Although I'm indoors, it would be brighter if I was outdoors. So let's take a closer look at this camera, and I can show you around it and how it works. So this is it, guys, another masterpiece from the camera manufacturer Thornton Pickard. This particular camera was built around about 1934 by Thornton Pickard in Altrincham in the UK, and this camera is called the Rubyette 2. It's a beautiful camera. It's not that big really for these type of cameras, and it's beautifully made. It's made out of solid hardwood. I think it's mahogany. It's covered in Moroccan leather, all the body, and all the metal parts are of a high quality brass. This camera would have cost you in 1934, around when this camera was built, around about 14 UK pounds, and as we say in the UK, that's in old money. And this camera's fitted with a Stevens screen at the top. That makes it easier to focus using the reflex viewfinder, and that would have cost you £1 14 shillings extra, and again that's in old money. So when I got the camera, I opened this cover, and that just tended to fall down on its own, so I fixed that. So that's one thing that was wrong. And the camera came in this beautiful lens that's made in England. It's a Dallmeyer lens. It's focal length, I've measured it round about 120mm. The glass was a little bit dirty, etc., but I've cleaned it up, and it's in excellent condition for its age. Obviously it's not coated. The apertures run from f4.5 to f32, and you alter those apertures by turning this outer ring on the camera. Now this was really stiff, but I can now move it, and I think with a little bit more use it'll even get freer. But the aperture blades work great, so that's wonderful. Now the camera has some movements. If we undo that little knob there, you can see that the camera's dropped, so we've got some rise and we've got some fall. So we've got a few movements on it, but not many. But that's great if you're doing architecture. So that's it on the front of the camera. If we go around to the side, this is where all the action takes place. This is the spring tensioned timer where you set your times. This is the shutter release button, and that's the lock to lock it open if need be. We've got an eyelet there, and it has two of these knobs, one at either side. Unscrew them and the focusing hood comes off, and I'll show you that in a bit. Now when I got this, it was sticking and it wasn't fully returning, but with a little bit of a lubrication it's now working great. So if I set it to say 1,000th of a second, you'll hear the little pins as it drops into place. So it's at 1,000th of a second now. Press the lever and the shutter fires. I can also set it to all these shutter speeds ranging right from 1/10 of a second to 1,000th of a second, which was very good for a camera of its age. Now it's set to time. This is if you want to use it working on the ground glass screen at the back. You need to be able to leave it open so you can look through the lens to focus. You press it down once and then you lock it down, and now the shutter is open, and to close it you just lift that lever up. So everything works great. All I've got to do is check these whether this focal plane shutter's working okay, and check the exposures. Now if we come to the back of the camera, this is quite interesting because it's got this on it, which is a quick release for taking the viewing screen out and putting slides in, etc. Now you can see here when I actually turn the blinds, they're absolutely in perfect condition. I'll take it to time, fire the shutter, it's kept down now for viewing, and then let go. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant mechanism. To put this, well, first of all, when I got the camera, it came in a beautiful leather, thick leather case, leather hood, which I'll show you how this works in a minute. It came in this leather hood, fixed on the top of the viewing screen at the top. The actual box, I'll show you in a minute. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got a lovely name imprinted on the lid, Thornton Pickard, and it's all in like a purple colour flock. It's really high quality. I also came with two of these. Now these are original because it says Thornton Pickard on them, and these were for holding glass plates or tin types, etc. And the size of the tin plates and the glass plates on this camera was called a 1/6 plate. Basically, it's very similar to what we use on 120 roll film these days, and making 6x9 negatives. Now these slip out like that, and I was looking at these both. I've got two of these. Both of these holders came with these sheaves that fit on the inside, and these you can take them out like that, and you can slide film in there, or if you want to do paper negatives. So I've got two of them, so that's great. And that's a dark slide, and as I say, they fit onto this camera by opening the latch there. It's very tight, is that, so it holds it very, very firm, and then let go. And the beauty of that is pressing it tightly against the flock that goes down to stop light coming in, and then and that's really, really good, is that the way that it works. And also I'm very, very lucky that this camera will accept my radar backs. Now these backs hold 120 roll film, and this particular one is set up for shooting 6x9 negatives, as you can see there, that opening there. And these actually fit perfectly onto this camera, so if I open that up and just slide it into place, now I can shoot 8 6x9 frames on it. The other thing with this camera, they built 3 of these, the Rubyette 1, which was like this camera but would only shoot in portrait format. They built this one. The difference between this one and the other one, is that this has a rotating back, so I can rotate it into landscape or into portrait mode. So that's a really, really handy, great feature. So that's the Rubyette 2. The Rubyette 3, I've not seen one of those. They're very rare, but apparently they shot square negatives or glass plates. So I'll just take that out. put back the focusing screen. I can show you that. Bit awkward one-handed, I don't want to drop it. So to look through the lens, you would open this, and we've got this cover, and you're probably better with a dark cloth. And then we would open the front like that and make sure that the lens is wide open, its widest aperture f4.5. Then what we do is put the shutter onto time, fire it and lock it open, so now that shutter is wide open and we've got direct vision through the lens. This is much like using a large format camera. The viewing system's the same. And when you've done that, you'd focus with your loop. This is your focusing knob at this side. You would focus with that. And once you've done that, pull the camera back round. You would take out the, close the shutter there with that. Take your exposure reading. Set your aperture to the chosen aperture you want. Set the shutter speed. So let's say we're working at f8 and the shutter speed is 1/100th of a second. We would set it to that, which is there, the arrow points to it. The shutter's closed at this time. Put in the dark slide. Pull out the film holder, sorry, pull out the dark slide and then fire it by pressing the button at the back. Put the dark slide back in and then you've taken a picture. Very simple system. Take that out and then you put the ground glass in for the next shot. Now using the radar back, you would use it exactly the same way, but I would probably tend to use it more with the reflex viewer, so I'm not having to take the radar back off all the time. As I say, I'll show you the reflex viewer in a moment. So all in all, it's a brilliant system, and I think a lot of people don't think that reflex cameras, where you're viewing through a mirror onto a lens, came out until SLRs were made, etc. But this shows you that this camera is a camera that does have reflex viewing, and it was built in 1934. The other misconception with these cameras is that people tend to think, some people do anyway, that if you set it to 1/1000th of a second, it means that the shutter's moving at 1/1000th of a second. It's moving very quick. And you set it 1/10th of a second and it's moving slower. That's not the case. It's a focal plane shutter. It has a curtain at the top and one at the bottom. And when it's all accurately set up, depending on the width of that curtain, the gap between it determines your shutter speed. So if it's 1/1000th of a second, it'll be a very, very narrow gap. If it's 1/10th of a second, it'll be a wide gap. And I'll show you that in a minute, how that works. It's very clever. I'll show it in slow motion, and that will tell me if the shutter's actually working. So that's it really on the camera. As I say, this side, that's the focusing knob. We've got a couple of eyelets for a strap. You'd use that probably for when you're using the reflex viewer. We've got this lovely hand strap at this side. So it's all in working condition. So let's look at the actual reflex view. I'll show you the steaming screen now, and then we'll have a look at the actual shutter working in slow motion. The old camera seems to be in really nice condition. Everything seems to be working okay. The only thing is, would I be confident to go to a location and trust this camera to give me the correct exposures? Now we can see that the lens is working because we can move the dial and close and open the aperture. So that's working okay, and they look about right. The problem could be with the focal plane shutter. Now it works, but is it creating the gaps to give the correct exposure? Now I did that. You could not see that gap because it opens and closes so fast. So the only way that I can test if the gaps are correct, so for a fast shutter speed it should be a narrow gap, for a slow shutter speed it should be a wide gap. The only way that I can see if that's working is to video it in slow motion, and that's what I'm going to do with this camera. I'll video it at most of the speeds and just see how that curtain is operating. But even that doesn't tell me whether the gaps are correct to give the correct exposure. So if the gaps seem okay, the next step is to go take some pictures with it on a roll of film, and then set the shutter speeds to different ones on the camera, and use the light meter to get a correct exposure, take the pictures, and when the roll is developed I should have a set of negatives that look virtually the same. The only difference will be the depth of field, and that will tell me whether I've got the confidence to go out and use this beautiful old camera. So right, let's get it set up and let's do some slow motion photography. So I've got the camera set up to video the action of the focal plane shutter in slow motion, and that will show me if this shutter is working as it was intended. Now this is a vertical travel focal plane shutter, so it travels from top to bottom. On some cameras it travels horizontally, and I want to see in slow motion if it's working as it was intended to do. Now if you've never seen a focal plane shutter working, then you will now, but how it works is, if I set it to a fast speed such as 1,000th of a second, the gap between the top curtain and the bottom curtain should be very narrow, and as I gradually slow down the shutter the gap gets bigger, and at the end on the 1/10 of a second the gap should be really big. If all that seems to be working okay, then that's good, because the camera's working, and then all I have to do then is go outside, put some film in and test whether the shutter speeds are accurate. Right, let's do the test now, and I'll show you how the focal plane shutter works. Right, that seemed to go very well. The focal plane shutter seems to be working okay. The 1,000th of a second was very narrow. As it got slower it got wider, so that's good. It's working as it was designed. I think what I'm going to do next, I'm going to shoot a couple of paper negatives, because that will give me the longer exposures. It also tests the mechanism in the camera to see if it's working when it's in the time mode. And then if there's any problems it will show light leaks because of the longer exposures. I'll do a couple of paper negatives. Once I've done that, then we'll do the exposure test to see if the gaps are accurate to give the correct shutter speeds. So let's go and shoot a couple of paper negatives. Right, I found the subject for these paper negatives, and it's this famous rabbit that I use in the ultra large format pinhole video that I uploaded recently. It makes a good subject. Now I've got the camera set to a distance where I think the rabbit will fill up the paper negative, and I'm using my radar back, and it's got one sheet of paper in, and it's loaded with Ilford multigrade paper. So using this camera this way with the ground glass is much like using a large format camera. You can pause and focus on that, and then you take the exposure. In the next paper negative I take of the rabbit, I'll use the actual reflex viewer at the top. So to use it this way, open up the cover, open the lens fully wide open, so you get the brightest view on the ground glass screen. Open the ground glass screen. Now I can see nothing yet because I've got to wind it on. Lock the shutter open. Now I can see. Then just adjust composition, and then I'll try and get a rough focus on here, but I'll have to use my focusing hood to get accurate focus. I'm focusing in on its eye, and I will use my my little loop to do that. So everything looks great there. It's in focus, and got a nice big rabbit in the viewfinder. So the next thing to do is close the shutter, take the ground glass off, fit the rider back. It's in place, and then take a light reading. And that's giving me 4 seconds. This is at ISO 3, remember. 4 seconds at f8. So I'll set the lens to f8. Set the shutter. And pull the dark slide out. And then I'll count the time. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Dark side back in, and that's how easy it is to use this camera using the ground glass screen. Right, let me show you where we use the Reflex viewer. Right, for this part of the video I don't need the focusing cloth and I don't need the loop, because we're going to be using the Reflex viewer. Now it's come really bright at the moment, but I'm quite pleased because this will tell me, because of the longer exposures, whether this camera's got any light leaks. It'll show on the paper negatives. So it's a different experience using it with the Reflex viewer. I've got the rider back, and it's got one sheet of paper in. I've got the subject, which is rabbit, and I've also put a dog in the picture. I think that'll be able to focus though. And I put the rider back into the back of the camera, and all I've got to do now is open the hood. And there we've got the open that cover, and there we've got a lovely bright view of the subjects. Just need to get the composition right. It's about right there. Do some focusing. Now this is extremely bright, is this screen. It's a Stevens screen, and for whatever reasons it just makes it so easier for focusing. And as I said previously, these were extra with this camera. Now this item came with the camera, and I didn't have a clue what it was until I realised it's got a cutout there. I realised that it goes onto the metal hood like that, and then you just look through, put your nose into that cutout, and the view is unbelievable. Even in bright light, it's fantastic, and you can focus very, very accurately with that. So I've got the composition, I've got it in focus. Next thing to do is to take the dark slide out, and no light's coming in because the shutter is closed at the moment, and then take a light reading. It's come brighter now, so it's 2 seconds at f8. So I set the aperture to f8, and then it's 2 seconds. And the way we do it with this, you just simply press it down, 1001, 1002, and close it. And that's how easy it is. Now you can easily walk about with this camera with a neck strap, using that extra hood, or even using that, it would work. So as you can see, it's a very, very versatile camera. Right, let's move on now, get these paper negatives developed, see what we've got, and fingers crossed with no light leaks. Right, before I develop those paper negatives, fingers crossed there's no light leaks, and I've got something half decent to show you. I want to show you a few more things about the camera, and also mention something about myself. Now firstly, about me, while I was doing those videos of in between them, and my daughter turned up. She's a hairdresser, and I had my hair cut, so talk about multitasking, I'm the man. But apart from that, I want to show you the Stevens screen. This, as I said, was extra on these cameras, and this is it here. A couple of catches to move at the side, and there it is. This is the Stevens screen, a special focusing screen. It's ground at the bottom. It looks concave, but it's not. It's flat. The top part is concaved, and this gives a really bright view to image all over the screen. And it, as I say, it was extra, but it's well worth getting one of these for this camera. Some of the old cameras' viewing screens weren't very good. I have another camera with a Stevens screen, and it's this one, the Contax D. And this, I've said it, you'll have seen, I've mentioned this is one of the best focusing cameras I've got. It just pops in and out of focus, and this has got a Stevens screen. I want to show you this. The case that this camera came in, because they don't often come in this condition. Still works. Lift the latch up. I haven't got the key for it, but when I open it, it's got the Thornton Pickard name there. It's still on the, stuck to the flock, and it's like a purple material. It's really beautiful. You can see the thickness of the leather. It's absolutely amazing, and it's only coming apart just in one corner there, so I need to fix that. And it's made out of brass there that they catch at the top, and as I say, when you shut it, it still catches up like that. As I say, I've not got the key, but the handle's good at the top, and the straps hold it there. It's got connectors for a shoulder strap, which I'm going to get for this. But I just thought I'd show it because they don't often come in this good condition. So that's a genuine case for this camera. Right, the other thing I'm going to show you, I just need to set it up. Right, quickly before we look at the paper negatives, I just want to show you this, and it might clear up any confusion for people who have not seen how these cameras work, because they have two focusing systems. Now I'm using the Ruby Reflex because I couldn't get this going. The front panel's not on it, so we can see the mirror. You just have to imagine on this that it's got the focal plane shutter working. So let's say we're working in the reflex viewing mode, looking down. What we have to do is focus, compose, and what's happening is the light's coming through the lens onto the mirror, onto the ground glass screen, and we can see everything that we're doing. Once you've done that, you would set your exposure with the wide knob at the side, set that, and then when you're ready to take the exposure, you press that button, the light goes through, the shutter goes off, and then the shutter closes. So it'll do that on its own. It's all set up to do that, but it works and it's very effective. Now, where you can be confused is when I did the first video of the rabbit on the fence, I said that I'd wound the camera on and then cocked the shutter and locked it. Now what that did was, when I locked it, the mirror is in the up position and the shutter is wide open, and that allows me to view through the ground glass screen, to get my composition, to focus, etc. And when I'm ready to take the picture, I put the film holder in at the back, and then I close the shutter, let go and close the shutter, and then when I'm ready to take the picture, I set the aperture, set the shutter speed, and then when I take the picture, what happens when I press it again, it goes up, the shutter goes off, and it closes. So that's the two ways that it works. It's very simple how they work. The only weak spot is the blinds at the back. I was lucky to have one that's maybe had them replaced, or it's just stood the test of time well. But this mirror mechanism really can never fail because it's purely mechanical and it's very simple. Right, with that, let's look at the paper negatives now. So these are the two developed and scanned paper negatives. They were captured on Ilford multigrade deluxe glossy paper. The one on the right is the one taken with the ground glass screen at the back of the camera, and the one on the left hand side is the one where I use the Reflex viewing hood. And they've turned out really well, and thank goodness there's no light leaks. That's a bonus. But from what I can see here, I've got the exposures nearly right. the lens is really sharp. It looks to be a beautiful lens. Anyway, let's take a look now at the positive images. So these are the positive images, and I'm really pleased with them. They've come out really nice. I haven't done anything other than scan them and convert them to a positive. They would look exactly the same if I printed them in the darkroom. So really happy. I'm pleased with the quality of the lens. It's absolutely wonderful, and if we zoom into both of them, we can see how good these pictures are, and considering they're the paper negatives, so you can see how sharp the old lens is. So they certainly knew what they were doing in those days. Right, all I need to do now is test the actual shutter itself. These were timed exposures, and then when I've done that, I'll show you the negatives, and hopefully the shutter's accurate. So these are the test negatives I took in the back garden. I didn't bother videoing it because it would have been too repetitive. Now at the outset, I just want to say that the light source that you're viewing the negatives on, it's not that good. I've had it for years and it doesn't give an even light. So some of these negatives on screen might look to have a different density, but you have to trust me on that. They are all virtually the same. Apart from this one, top right, that is a little bit lighter, but that could have been maybe user error where I didn't adjust the aperture on the lens correctly. The shutter speeds that I used were the ones that corresponded with the shutter speeds on the Rubyette. Now there's 8 exposures here. There's 11 on the Rubyette, so I only did these 8, but I'm assuming that if all these 8 are correct, the other 3 will be. So because I've got this even density, it's telling me that the focal plane shutter on the Rubyette is working correctly. So I'm really chuffed about that. The next thing to do is actually go out and shoot some film with this lovely old Thornton Pickard camera, and I'm going to load a roll of 120 film into my radar back, so I'll get 8 6x9 images, which is great. Now all the testing that I've done on the camera has confirmed that it's working correctly, so I should have no problems whatsoever, so it's going to be really enjoyable to use. The only problem I will have is people who walk past me using it. I'm always asked about these old cameras, what is it? Is it a digital camera? I mean, have you ever seen a digital camera like this? Does it shoot film? Yes, it's a film camera. Oh, I didn't know you could still get film. Yes, you can. It's in this camera. So these are the questions I get asked. But I don't mind. I enjoy talking to people about photography, film photography, and I can talk them blue in the face. So in some ways, it's my fault if I do get held up too long. Now, there's one thing I didn't show you before was this finder. Now we lift it up like that, it all pops up, still perfectly after all them years. And if you press down on the front there, we have what's called a sports finder, and then you put your eye at the back, look through the hole in the centre like that, and then you can follow moving subjects. So that's brilliant. And the only thing is that if you get too close to your subject, it's going to suffer from a parallax error. It's going to be different from what the lens is seeing and what you're seeing up there. But to all intents and purposes, you can use it at normal distances. I mean, these old cameras, a lot of things that they have on them has been used in more modern cameras as the years went by, such as the reflex mirror, the sports finder. And so, you know, they are quite important cameras in the history of film photography. If anybody asked me, you could have any other camera to go out with other than this, I'd say no. If they said you can have a Hasselblad, you can have a Bronica, you can have a Pentax 6x7, you can have a Mamiya 7, I'll say no, I don't want it. I want to use this one. I've waited so long to get one of these in working condition that I wouldn't swap it for any other camera. I've changed one thing on it, the strap. I put this thick strap on. I didn't trust the original one. It just looked a little bit too thin and flimsy, but I'll look after that, it's original. So that's it now, all the testing done, everything. Let's go out and take some pictures with this beautiful Rubyette 2 camera from Thornton Pickard. Right guys, this is the first shot with the Rubyette 2 outside, and I haven't had to travel very far. I'm in my garden, looking over the fence into my neighbour's garden, and the subject's going to be these chairs, this wrought iron chairs and table, the white, so they're going to contrast nice with the surrounding area, so it'll make a quite striking black and white image. Now I'm going to use the Rubyette looking through the ground glass screen, but so for some of the pictures I'm going to use it looking down into the Reflex viewer. Now I'm not going to video every picture I take, it'll be a little bit repetitive, but I'll show you this one using the ground glass screen, and I'll show you one where I use the Reflex viewer, and from then on I think you get the idea of what I'm doing with this camera. So let's get the camera set up, get the composition, take a light reading and take this picture, and I'll show you how I do it with the camera. Right, I made a couple of changes to the camera. The first one, I've got rid of that silly big strap I put on and realised that this one's just perfect because it don't get in the way that big one did, so, and it's quite strong. So then I found that carrying the camera, this is why that handle's there, it's a lot easier to carry this camera about. I've also fitted a yellow filter, so I'll get the camera onto the tripod. I'm shooting in landscape format to get this nice composition of these table and chairs. Open the viewing hood, and then I'm going to wind the camera on to time, lock the shutter open, lift the front cover, and now I can see the subject that I'm photographing. So this time it's ground glass time. Close that down. I now need to take a light reading. So the nearest shutter speed I can get on this is 25th of a second at f8. So I'm going to set it to f8. They must have had good eyes in the old days because some of these numbers etc. are so small. Right, I'm going to take the ground glass off. Close the shutter. Then put in the film back. If I can find it, there we go. Put the film back in. Set the shutter to 25th. of a second, I'm at f8. Pull dark slide out and take the picture. So that's that one. I'll show you me photographing one more, and then I'm just going to show you the pictures then. Right, move on now, see what else we can find. Right, this is the second image, and I'm photographing this path. It's a whole railway path that runs between these line of trees, and for this I'm going to have to put the camera into a portrait format. To do that, it's easy with this camera. We just press this button here and then turn the old back so it revolves. So very, very simple. Now for this, I'm going to use the ground glass. I'm going to use the reflex viewer. So with the reflex viewer we can get lower down in a different perspective. So make sure the lens wide open. Get my loop. Get that focused, and then composition looks okay. So the next thing is to take the ground glass out and put in the rider back. It seems a right faff, does this, but it's really good fun. You feel like you're part of the picture, making the picture. I really enjoy it. Obviously if I used a faster film I could handhold this camera, but I do like working with these cameras on a tripod. As I say, you just feel like you're a part of the camera and you're involved in the whole picture taking process. So I've got the back in, now I need to take a light reading. So it's saying 30th of a second at f8. The only shutter speed I have available is 25th. And set the shutter, the aperture sorry, to f8. That's set. Pull the dark slide out. Just put that over the top because some of these old light seals can be a little bit worn, and then take the picture. In fact, before I take the picture, I think what I'll do, I'm going to wait till somebody walks onto the path to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'll put the dark side back in so we don't get no light leaks, and we'll just wait till somebody starts to walk into the path. So let's just be patient. So there's a couple of people walking into the frame. Take the dark side out. Wait till they get into a lighter spot within the picture, and then take the shot. That slide back in. So I've got another 6 images to shoot. I'm using Ilford FP4. I'm going to develop it in ADOX XT3, and that'll help with the contrast. So let's go take the next 6 pictures, and when I've done that I'll show you them. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed those pictures I took with this 1934 vintage Thornton and Pickard Rubyette 2 camera. An absolute beautiful camera and a joy to use, and the results I got from this camera were absolutely wonderful, and it's all down to this wonderful Dallmeyer lens. This lens is absolutely astounding. to say it's so old and it's uncoated, but it produced some of the sharpest negatives that I've ever produced. An absolute wonderful lens. The camera is equally at home on a tripod using the ground glass screen, or strap around your neck and use it like a Rolleiflex using the reflex viewer. Very, very versatile. And you know, the pride that people took in making these types of cameras that have stood the test of time is a lesson to all of us, really, to cherish these old items, because nowadays we can't seem to get anything that lasts more than 10 years. So we need to cherish them, look after them, keep these beautiful old cameras going. And you know, if you go to camera sales or flea markets, etc., car boot sales, you'll often see old cameras like this, and they look battered and worn, and you look at them and you think they're going to be a load of rubbish these. But if you have a careful look at them like this, to make sure that the lens is okay, make sure that the focal plane shutter's intact and it works, you can end up with a camera that can take pictures as good as any camera that's made today. So keep your eye open for them, and don't dismiss these cameras. So it's been a long video, but I think in the end this camera and its history is worth it. This camera with the focal plane shutter and the reflex mirror. Other cameras followed on from Thornton Pickard, other companies did the same, and they're built on the innovations that these companies came up with, so they are a very important camera in the history of photography. So that's it guys, the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up, a like, better still subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. Leave any questions below if you need to find anything out about this camera, and as I always say, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. The Thornton Pickard Rubyette 2 reflex camera. Thanks for watching.